Why does Bible says that he's a jealous God? Has it been difficult to be a devotee of Krishna when you became grihast? You have 3 religions now. So what is the common thing?
Put it this way, there's very little difference. The difference between Orthodox and Catholics is external. If we want to focus on differences, we can find so many. It's our group against your group.
What was your parents' reaction to your decision to go into the Krishna consciousness?
Whenever there is a new thing that is introduced, there's 4 stages. I went through all those 4, even with my parents. What I like about Krishna consciousness, it emphasizes and encourages spiritual inclusion.
That must have been crazy. Doesn't matter which God you sort of pray to, you are eventually coming to me. That doesn't sound like a jealous God. That is a very different concept of God. Let's get into that. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So I will welcome Adwait Prabhu and we'll do Pranam mantra also. So Ankush, I will just translate this also. So it means, I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Vaishnav devotees of the Lord. They are just like desolate trees and can fulfill the desires of everyone. And they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. So that's what it means.
Awesome.
So yeah, we welcome Prabhu to our podcast. And this year we have started this podcast to discuss about the spirituality and about the work-life balances. These are our topics we have initially started. And I know Ankush for almost 8 years now, and same with Prabhu to you. So Ankush is basically was a big devotee of Lord Shiva. He's still a very big devotee of Lord Shiva, and he has now practicing Krishna consciousness. And you can say like we both are like newcomers. We have been associated with Krishna consciousness for a long time, but we are not so advanced, both of us. And Ankush, Adwait Prabhu is from Florida, and he is a spiritual leader, and he has been practicing Krishna consciousness for more than 3 decades now. And he's been guiding many souls of all age category. So Prabhu, thank you for coming to this podcast and giving us the blessings. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Awesome.
So Ankush, you have anything?
Yeah. Let's get started. So, Prabhu, I'll start with your name. Since I was just talking to Dipendra sir, and I was trying to understand your background into your life so far and things like that. So, but I would like to start with your name, because your name means Advait. Advait means non-duality. That is a very different name for somebody who's probably born outside India, right? In India, that is a very common name, but somebody who's born outside of India, Advait is a very different name. I'd like to start there. I'd love to know how you got that name and why you chose that name also.
Yeah, interesting. Thank you, Ankush, for a wonderful question, and thank you, Dipender, for a very kind introduction. And thank you both for having me on this drizzling here in Croatia. By the way, greetings from Croatia. I'm here visiting my parents. It's rather drizzling and cold morning.
Amazing.
Yeah, my parents did not give me that name. I was born under a different name. Actually, it's interesting. There's a name my parents gave me, and then there's a name that my grandmothers insisted I get in a church. I got that name, and I was baptized. And then there's the name I got from my spiritual master. I didn't pick any of these names.
Okay. What were those names? I'd love to hear them.
Yeah, the names are usually given to us, unless, sometimes people do give themselves names, like singers, they might pick their names, but these are the serious names that are referring to our identity. And usually those are not picked, they are given to us as something that will anchor the mercy. And, the mercy that we get from our parents, in my case, they named me Alan. The mercy that I got from the church, I was Mirko, after my grandfather, my father's father. And the name I was given by my spiritual master is, of course, Advaita. So Advaita, there's a funny story from New York that also kind of illustrates how names can trigger different connotations, and impressions and memories in terms of what they carry. Names are very powerful because they, like I said earlier, they set a certain identity that we carry. And when I lived in New York as a young monk, there was we were coming back from, there was some kind of event, and we were coming back. And next to our ashram at the East Village in Manhattan, that ashram is still there. It's called Bhakti Center. Well, at that time, it wasn't called Bhakti Center. It was Bhaktivedanta Ashram. We're coming back, and right next to it, it's a very, very nice, very beautiful, hip area of a Manhattan. There was, right next to our entrance, it's like a hole in the wall, very small storefront where there was a radio, and the radio station had a host, like a DJ host, like you have a setup there with a microphone and everything. But he was right down the street. And when he saw us all dressed in monk robes and saffron brahmacharis, he said, "Hey, come inside." So we all went into that little space, and then he interviewed us, and he said, "So what is your name? What is your..." So we all like introduced ourselves with the names. So he came to me and I said, Advaita, and which my full name is Advaita Acharya Das, but most people call me Advaita. So when I say Advaita, the host, he understood Darth Vader. Like Advaita to him sounded Darth Vader. So for those of you who follow the pop culture, it's a pop culture reference to Darth Vader from Star Wars.
From Star Trek, yeah, yep.
So for the rest of the show, I was Darth Vader because I didn't want to correct it. I would just kind of roll with the punches. And what was important is the message. Although there's a lot to be said about the name. It's a beautiful name. Like I said, I didn't pick it. It was my spiritual master who gave it to me. It's besides the meaning that it has in Sanskrit, it is also referring to, specifically Advaita Acharya Das is referring to a Renaissance figure from India in 1600s, just on a cusp of medieval times to the era of Renaissance. And he was a great revolutionary who introduced the chanting of Hare Krishna and this new wave of Sankirtan movement of congregational chanting and dancing. So I was named after him.
Amazing. So you mentioned that you were baptized also, right? So that is a very long journey, I'm sure, right? So you were baptized as a kid. After that, coming to Krishna consciousness, that is a very, very different path. Very, very different path, right? So I believe you're Catholic, right? You were baptized as a Catholic, right? Not a Protestant, right?
Yeah, my father is from a Catholic background.
Uh-huh.
And from my mother's side, I'm part of the Orthodox tradition too. So it's quite a mix.
Wow.
Yeah, we just celebrated 2 days ago on January 7th is the Orthodox Christmas. So there's a December 25th where the Christmas tree set up the day before, 2 days before. And that in my household, that Christmas tree stays all the way to at least January 8th or January 7th until that other Orthodox Christmas when it's celebrated. And we just did that with Radha. That's my mother's name.
Her name is Radha?
There's a lot of Radhas here in Balkan area where Croatia is part of. There's a lot of girls that are Radha, R-A-D-A, without H.
Okay.
And there's also a lot of boys that are R-A-D-E, Radhe, also without.
Ooh, wow.
Also without H.
Wow.
So a lot of people they chant Radha this, Radhe that, Radhe Radhe, and you can, but of course it's outside of the reasoning and connotations that are recognized in India, especially in the holy land of Brajabhumi or Brindavan. That is a different application whatsoever. But nevertheless, because the name is powerful, it carries some Shakti, some potency.
For sure.
So you can imagine growing up how, as a young child, can be wondering, like, when one grandmother was taking me to one church and then the other grandmother is taking me to another church. and I'm wondering, they're worshiping the same thing. So why can't they, get it together?
Yep.
And that was kind of the first, you can say, impetus that brought me from the world and the level of religion to the upgrade in a world of spirituality, that it's more recognizably unified, looking for that common denominator. What's common to all these, like, countless churches and religions? So in essence, that is what I recognized later on in life as Krishna consciousness or God consciousness.
Amazing.
So sometimes
Brilliant.
I would make a joke When people ask me,
Mhm.
so what religion you are? I would joke with them, it's a mixture of Catholic and Orthodox would be Ortholik or maybe Orthodox.
Okay.
Just to point out how silly those divisions. And I'm sure in India, I know people have divided themselves in so many ways through caste system and through this and that. But interestingly enough, Advaita Acharya, the historical figure, and his contemporaries, starting with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Gadadhar Pandit, and Srivas Pandit, they all not only address that, but resolve those differences in one unified movement of Krishna consciousness. So that I've been trying to be part of, and I've been contributing since 30 plus years. Yeah.
Amazing. That is so brilliant. I am actually super interested because now you mentioned that you were, from one grandmother's side, you were Catholic, from one grandmother's side, you were Orthodox, and now you have gone into a totally different direction. How did that happen? How was your parents' reaction to your decision to go into the Krishna consciousness?
How was my parents' reaction? So, Ankush, I don't know if you noticed, but whenever there is a new thing that is introduced, be that in society or even in a science, be that in religion even or spiritual world, there's four stages, or even in a world of fashion, as a matter of fact. There's four stages that every new concept, a new idea has to go through. So number one, it is tolerated.
Right.
That's kind of a passive way of dealing with it. Number two, it's ridiculed.
Okay.
That's a first step in an active way of dealing with it. And number three, if we pass these two, if we don't give up on these two, or while going through these two, there will be a third one that will be actively and directly attacking the new idea or new concept.
Okay. Yeah.
And the fourth one, there will be acceptance. So if we
Right.
endure to all these four, be that in fashion, science, spirituality, or societal matters, there will be acceptance. So you can guess and you can imagine, as a young inquisitive seeker, I went through all those four, even with my
Okay.
parents.
That must have been crazy.
And so, yeah, it's quite interesting. And I think it is true, and it is so even with the lighter subject in terms of, like, for example, who you're gonna marry, Ankush. What if your girl is from a different village of different caste, and your
Right.
parents are traditional, right? That's something that's foreign. It was
Mhm.
never done in our family, so you'll have to go through all those four. So long story short, it's been a while that my parents are in a state of acceptance, but it was quite
Okay.
a hurdle. It was quite actually, as a matter of fact, both of them are very favorable. They're very supportive. I think everything happened relatively quick with my family because they're very nice people. Not because they're my parents, but just nice people, very loving parents.
Yep.
And to be honest and to be fair, it is my father who brought first books to the house. So it's
The Bhagavad Gita?
and Bhagavad Gita and some other books from, because he was always very progressive, right? But
Yeah.
he did not know that I would take it so seriously. I remember when he noticed that, he was like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 slow down, slow down, slow way down, slow the way down." But it was too late because I was soaking everything like a sponge, because they don't teach. I'm fortunate they don't teach those things in a school, and so it was really hitting me hard. But yeah, it was him, and plus, my parents being young around that time when Srila Prabhupada was starting that worldwide revolution, coming from India on a cargo boat all the way to Boston Harbor, Pennsylvania, and then back to New York, where there is an epicenter of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, from where everything has kind of spread like a wildfire, reaching out all the way to England. And the Beatles, when the Beatles discovered Krishna consciousness and Srila Prabhupada's movement, created that, at that time, very popular song that hit the charts and stayed there for a while. So my parents were exposed as young, I guess you can say, hippies or progressives. at that
Okay.
time, and they also chanted Hare Krishna, holding hands and dancing in a circle, but making nothing serious out of it, just as something that was hip to do at that time. And then I was born, so potency of the holy name, you can say, kind of reverberated also in a type of the progeny that they got, because from early on I had inclination and attraction to what I called like ancient civilizations and ancient cultures, pyramids, mysticism of India, yogis, and Himalayas, and all that, the life adventure that the world offers today.
Right. Since you have seen both worlds, and I'm so sorry, did you mention when you shifted to Krishna consciousness? At what age did you shift to Krishna consciousness?
So I discovered, my dad brought first books on one of his travels, because he used to travel like the Parental Prabhu travels, but for different reasons. It was different kind of shows related to the. I think I mentioned that to the shoe production, because he was in the shoe industry, and so there was a lot of shows related to that kind of world. And when he brought that, I think I was teenager. I was 15, 16. But when I kind of pulled that book out of the shelf, was later on, maybe I was 18 or 19. And when I met first devotee, who was always there in the area where my mother was working downtown in the old town of Split. He was there. I think he was selling incense, because at that time, it was still socialist country. It was still part of Yugoslavia, and it was a socialist country. Any of the kind of activities of propagating any religion or yoga was not really welcomed by the government. So things had to be like done undercover. So
Okay.
he was just selling incense, right? But but in his special shelf on his little setup, there was some invitations for bhakti yoga gathering or some small book, or so. That's how I got exposed. And it was always burning incense, so it was just like really nice aroma. I still remember. I forgot the name of it, but I just recently discovered that was like, because for years, like I did not get triggered by that saying. But just recently, I was, oh my God, that's the same one that he was burning like 30 years ago. It was a very special one. And our memory is also related to any of our senses, not just what we see, but also what we smell.
Right.
There was that book by, I think, Edgar Allan Poe, Combray, where he kind of, the whole book starts with the smell of a cookie and a tea, and then he remembers this whole childhood, and that's the whole entire book, the memory that it was unlocked and triggered by aroma. So it was like that just recently. So I approached him, and he showed me the incense, and I got some, and with the incense, I got the invitation to one of their programs, which I forgot about it. I didn't make the whole thing. I just put it on my desk. I was like, nice guy, it's interesting. But I didn't connect it to him too. Only when, after a while, maybe a year, or it was actually, I think, half a year, when I was cleaning my room. It was one of those like spring cleanings. I was like, oh, there's a card. Maybe I'll visit this Sunday. And when I came, then I connected to it. I was like, oh yeah, I have those books at home. And that's how I started. I think I was 19 or so. Yeah.
Okay, so 19 years old, you got into Krishna consciousness. Wow, that is pretty early. And since then, you've gotten deeper and deeper. That is absolutely amazing. Now, what I'm actually very, very interested to find out, have you ever, since you've explored both sides, have you found commonalities, things that are in common? Because I'm of a strong belief system that in the end of the day, we are praying to the same God. What are the common elements from you have three religions now: Orthodox, pro-Catholics, and now Krishna. So what is the common thing? What is the common thing?
Well, put it this way, there's very little differences.
Okay.
And all of the differences are secondary, or should I say external. Like even with
Okay.
Orthodox and Catholics, like the difference between Orthodox and Catholics, they're external. On one side, like Orthodox, they're facing the altar. They don't face the congregation like they do
Okay.
in Catholic. They always face the congregation. The Orthodox, they
Mhm.
face the altar.
Mhm.
The way they dress, Orthodox
Mhm.
is very dark. They have beer. They like
Mhm.
to burn that frankincense, which I also like very much. There's a
Mhm.
billowing. I remember like when my other grandmother would take me, and there's the billowing of frankincense always there. It's very pleasing, I remember. And in Catholics, they're, always in white and they're always shaved. So
Mhm.
if we want to focus on differences, we can find so many.
Mhm.
And if you want to focus on common things
Similarities.
and similarities, you will also find so many. It's really a matter of
Mhm.
focus. Divisions are something that are part of this mundane mindset, or should I say
Mhm.
sectarian mindset. It's our group against your group.
Right.
This is something that it's been existing since time immemorial. This
Mhm.
mundane or material mindset where we see ourselves separate from others.
Right.
And this is something that it needs to be, I shouldn't say changed, it just needs to be upgraded. Where
Mhm.
the inclusion, what I like about Krishna consciousness is that he warns against religious bigotry, and it emphasizes and encourages spiritual inclusion.
Right.
So that is once you shift that mindset, then all you see is common things.
Right.
It's not like what are the common things? Everything is a common thing. Just
Mhm.
because, like for example, you mentioned God earlier. By definition, God is one.
Mhm.
It can't be two,
Right.
because if it
Right.
is two, then it's not God. If it is your God and my God, are we talking about two?
Yeah.
If we're ta- if
Advait.
we are talking about a two, then it's not God. By definition,
Yeah.
He's one. But see,
Yeah.
a
We are
lot of
talking about
people
Advait.
exactly. So a lot of people in religious world can't understand that simple definition.
Mhm.
And because they're
Mhm.
stuck in the world of duality, my God,
Mhm.
your God,
Mhm.
there's disagreement and everything is going to be, from that point, the whole equation is going to be wrong, because
Right.
the beginning of equation, when you get the beginning wrong, no matter how right and how everything is right for the rest of the equation, your
Mhm.
result is going to be wrong, because you're looking
Yeah.
at the world with the wrong optics.
Yeah.
When the optics are wrong, everything you're looking, it's going to be wrong. So what's required is just, shifting or adjusting the optics, the way we see the
Mhm.
world. And that is from the world of, like I said, religious bigotry, upgrading it to spiritual inclusion.
Right. I'm sure that you've done a lot of comparative religion studies. Have you? Just to confirm though.
So
So.
I
Okay.
was always seeker of the essence.
Okay. Yeah,
You know,
you've mentioned that you've always followed the aroma, right?
yeah,
So
yeah, I was
yeah, the
seeker of the essence,
incense.
or as they say, there's a word for it, and now it's skipping. But one who is looking for the essence, Saragrahi
Okay.
is one who is a seeker of the essence.
Okay. So you've been the seeker of the essence, and how did you find that essence in Krishna? What do you feel like, because completely different, right? Again, you are saying now you're preaching that Krishna is God, right? That essence, how did you find that essence in Krishna, and what actually separates Krishna? What actually made you feel like, you know what, that is what I'm going to decide my God to be?
So, if I could, Ankush, and please don't hold it against me,
Mm-hmm.
but within your question, I see a division there too.
Okay. Okay.
See,
I'd love to hear that.
Krishna is not a Hindu god, or
Right.
a god that has nothing to do with the rest of the world.
Yeah, of course.
Again, by definition, God is one.
Mm-hmm.
Krishna is not God of India. Krishna is
Mm-hmm.
that same supreme personality
Mm-hmm.
of Godhead that it's
Right.
talked about in many traditions and many books. Krishna is maybe not by that name, but he's recognized in Bible, in Quran, in Torah, and
Wow.
all
I'm
these
going
holy
to
books. They speak
I
about,
really want to listen that. Okay. So
yes,
how is he mentioned in Torah, Quran, and Bible?
he's
That is what I
mentioned.
want to hear.
Yes, he's
Yeah.
mentioned. He's all over. He's all over it, but in an
Okay.
indirect way. And
Okay.
this is when we connect with the name again, and how the essence of the name reveals the level of intimacy. So there's two kinds of names that God has. One is direct, and the other one is indirect name. Indirect names, they refer to his qualities. Like in Bible, he's mentioned as all powerful, almighty, all compassionate, as
Jealous.
source of everything. Like all
But
these
in
names,
Bible, he's also mentioned as jealous God. Do
as
you think
jealous,
Krishna is jealous?
yeah, as jealous
Yeah.
God also. And it's
Yeah.
also, there's some, I think, Yahweh, there's a mention
Yeah,
of
Yahweh
Yahweh.
in Torah.
Yeah, and then all these names, they have meanings. Yahweh means one who is,
Yeah.
right? It's kind of, there's a meaning, but somewhat vague and refers to his quality. Now, those are secondary names. His primary or direct names refer to his personality, and they are more descriptive, more intimate, more detailed. And we found those secondary names even in Vedas, even in Bhagavad Gita.
Okay.
He says, Rasoham Apsu Konteya Rabashmi Sasi Surayoho Pranava Sarva Vedeshu Shabda Ke Purusham Nrishu. He says in Gita, he says, I'm the tasting water. That is Krishna also.
Yeah.
I'm the sun. I'm the light of the sun and the moon. I'm the ability in the man. Om, of all the sounds, I'm the sound Om, Omkara, like that. And I'm sound in ether. So all these are representations of Krishna. And these are the names. And he says also later on, I'm the fragrance of earth. But his more direct names and describing of who he is, his primary names are also there, like Govinda, Purushottama, Yagya, also Krishna. There's Vishnu Sahasranam. There's thousands and thousands of names.
Right. Very true.
We know about thousands of names of Vishnu, and those are all wonderful and very personal names. And they say of thousands of names of Vishnu, in terms of the potency, is like one name of Rama. And 3 names of Rama is like one name of Krishna. So
That is
Krishna
true.
why is Krishna celebrated as
The Supreme Godhead.
a supreme Godhead in such a grand way as a supreme personality of Godhead? Why? Because it introduces us and invites us to his most intimate aspect of his personality.
Amazing. So let's get.
And you won't find that in any other book.
That is
And
very
that's
true.
why when Prabhupada came, he says, here is Krishna, here is God. Why can't you take it? He
Right.
challenged the whole world of religion and those who claim to be followers of God. He said, I brought you Krishna, here is Krishna, here is God. Why can't you take it?
Right. So I'd like to let's get our hands dirty a little bit, okay? So I'd like to dig a little bit deeper into the comparative sciences, okay? So let's start by understanding the personality of God, right? So compare it, like when you compare it in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that I'm in everything that is uttam, right? Like which is anything that is perfect, it's me, right? I'm the taste in water. I'm pretty much everything, right? That is what he's saying, right? And he also says that doesn't matter which God you sort of pray to, you are eventually coming to me, right? You can take thousands of names, call it Shiva, call it Jesus, doesn't matter really, honestly. You're always praying to me, right? Now, that doesn't sound like a jealous God. So why does Bible says that he's a jealous God? That is a very different concept of God. Let's get into that.
Well, that you will have to ask a Christian priest.
Okay. I'm actually going to interview somebody who's actually a lot into Christianity in my next podcast. And I'm definitely planning to ask him that question. But since you have actually studied, I was wondering, like, you know,
I can
you have
I can
studied
make
both.
I can make a layman an uninformed guess
Okay.
in terms of that the heart of God does not, first of all, the heart of God is full of love. And as He gives that love, unconditional love to the world, there's no place for anything but love. And in that sense, if we find ourselves wrapped up and distracted in the worldly ways, in His heart that is full of love, He will feel, for the lack of a better word, jealous. I would actually say sorry that we are distracting ourselves with things that are temporary.
Right.
So jealous is, for me, I couldn't be able to find that in Krishna's heart. And I would
Yeah.
rather, from what I heard, I would rather replace that as a heart of concern.
Right.
Because
Okay.
if you love somebody,
Mm-hmm.
then you will be concerned in an unconditional way. Then you will be concerned for your object of your love, be that like mother. Mother's heart is also full of unconditional love for their children. So as children gets distracted and carried away in a way that forgets about the relationship with the mother, I don't think the mother will be jealous in a way of whatever the child does, or father, as a matter of fact. I don't think the father will be jealous, but in a way concerned. For me, jealousy is it's a weak word. It's a weak
Yeah.
word, so it's hard to explain. I see it, the way I see it is that it's a matter of concern more than jealousy. Because if you love
Got it.
somebody unconditionally, the word itself unconditionally dictates that there's no room for jealousy, only for concern, which is symptomatic for unconditional love.
Right. Because love, in its essence, removes jealousy, right? Completely eliminates it, actually. Because when you love somebody, you cannot be jealous, right? But that actually pretty much sums up my question. That is actually really appreciated. Sir, I have been hogging a lot of Prabhuji's time. Please take some stage for you as well, if you have any questions.
I don't have a question, but would like to share when you were asking about Prabhuji's parents. So they are very supportive. And when I met him last 2 weeks ago, in Croatia, I was at Prabhuji's parent house. And the first thing, his father, he mentioned that he had a strong desire to visit Vrindavan,
Okay.
especially the temple Radha Damodar, where Prabhupada has spent a lot of time. So he he showed me that strong desire to visit place someday. And another thing about from mother side, her name is Radhe, as Prabhuji has told. So it was happened to be a Ekadashi day.
Okay.
So he prepared a full Ekadashi meal for and keeping everything, respecting all the rules. So they are very supportive in that sense. So even they have a different faith, and Radhe Mataji, she's practicing something, but they are very supportive and they believe in Krishna equally and very supportive. Yes, in a sense. So this is
Wow.
something I have seen through my eyes and personally felt it. So that's why I'm sharing.
Oh, wow. That's so brilliant.
Yes.
That is so beautiful. Awesome. I have one. I just noticed something, and I just want to ask you also that, Prabhuji, you're wearing black, not saffron. What's up?
I'm wearing black.
Not saffron. What's up?
I used to wear saffron when I was a brahmachari
Okay.
student monk, but now I've entered the grihastha ashram,
Okay.
and this shirt happened to be black, but I have I have a gray I have a gray, and this skirt, look at this, and this skirt happened to be blackish also.
Okay.
See, but I have other ones too. I have a gray one, I have a white one.
When did you
I
get
have
married? When did you get married?
There's the gray one. See, I got gray one too.
When did you get married?
2013.
2013. Okay. Okay. So it's been some time. You entered
Yeah.
Grihastha ashram. Okay.
Yes.
How is it different from brahmacharya? Because there is a theory some monks sort of propagate that you cannot devote yourself to Krishna if you are not brahmachari, right? Like you have to devote yourself to Krishna when your brahmachari is comparatively easier, especially comparing it with grihastha ashram, right? So what differences have you observed in yourself? Has it been difficult to be a devotee of Krishna when you became grihast compared to when you were brahmachari?
Nice question. And like you said, it's a theory.
Right.
There is a theory, but in practice, it's all defined by the sangha, the type of association you surround yourself with. I think brahmachari who is not in good association, for me, it's in a more concerning situation than a grihastha who surround himself with a good association.
That is very true. That is so true.
So,
Yeah.
tell me who you're with, and I'll tell you all about you.
Right.
I think if we surround ourselves with the right people, the ashram will become a secondary thing. However, in all fairness, we do recognize the importance of brahmachari ashram, the ground setting period in our life. It's a student life where we learn the basics, we learn how to operate on a human level and how to become a perfect gentleman. Or for ladies, brahmacharinis, how to become a perfect lady by controlling our senses. That is only one out of the 4 ashramas. So we have brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas.
Right.
Many acharyas, great teachers in the past, they were part of the grihastha ashram. And we
Krishna
see
himself was a part of Grihastha ashram, actually.
he was also grihastha, but also a perfect brahmachari.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
if you enter the sacred communion of marriage with the purpose of helping each other in Krishna consciousness and putting Krishna in the center, and that ashram is an ashram also. And ashram means
Right.
it's a facility that will accommodate our growth.
Right.
I mean, just being a brahmachari is not a guarantee that you will grow, and just being
Right.
grihastha is not a guarantee that you will grow. We have to, again, surround ourselves and challenge ourselves that we will grow in our Krishna consciousness. And that's why most people, they end up getting married. But it's much better to get married with foundation already in place, because your consciousness will also attract certain type of individual with certain type of consciousness. The
True.
universe has a perfect match. You don't have to worry about it. But it's defined, and that match is defined by your level of consciousness.
True.
So as
You'll get who you are.
as we uplift ourselves during our student days, we will also attract a certain level of consciousness with the lady who, by the way, ladies, they do exist in this world, if you didn't notice. And so
For sure.
what do they do? The whole world moves around because of the union. And we ourselves are part of that union. So we can't really skip or ignore or close our eyes and pretend it's not there. But we can learn how to do the right thing in the right way.
Very true.
And so that's what the brahmachari ashram is for. It's preparing us for something. Because most people, if you also notice and look around, are married. So to have examples of good couples, of good grihastha couples, it's very important. And the world needs that more, because usually the spiritual life is full of excuses, because we say, oh, it is easy for you because you're a single man and you're a brahmachari or you're a vanaprastha or you're a sannyasi. So it becomes like an excuse. Oh, it is easy for you, but I'm a married man. I
It's
have
a challenge
my
for me.
family, I have my wife, I have my children, I have bills to pay. So how can I do spiritual life? Yes, you can, because look at this couple and look at that couple. If they can do it, you can do it also. So it's a very
100%.
powerful thing, but it has to be a compatible situation. Like I said, the ladies are very powerful. Your wife can pick you up, and can
Or
drag
pull
you
you
down.
down.
They can drag you down. So be very careful, because spiritual education is for both men and women.
Very true. Amazing. This was such an enlightening experience, Prabhuji. I really, really appreciate you joining us here. It was, for me personally, it was very eye-opening, very contrasting, honestly, especially considering your own life story. It was absolutely amazing and a pleasure hosting you. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much for joining us. Hare Krishna, sir.